Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. My name's Mike Amos. His name is Bill Rice Jr. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is a Tuesday, and a Tuesday that we don't look forward to like we do our normal Tuesdays, because we're talking about some things that we right now don't have any power over, and that's this
every day the headlines
going through here
get scarier, don't they? The one that stood out to me yesterday, Mike, was that the mayor of San Francisco has ordered all the people that live in San Francisco pretty much to be confined to their houses or apartments, just like they're doing in Italy. So don't go out at all anywhere. And I imagine that that's might be coming for all of America at some point. But at least San Francisco, a big city, has enforced a curfew quarantine where nobody is basically supposed to even go out of their house.
What their concern is these stats I'm going to give you right now. This coronavirus cases right now, there are 186,677 cases worldwide, and 7,471 cases that were that the person that was ill died from those causes, and then 80,338 actually recovered from the being sick and are now back. I would say either back home or back active, but right now there are 98,868 active cases of the corona virus, and it's something that we'll have to see. It's going to, it could get larger and larger as we go through our daily lives, and of course there are things being done to hopefully to get people tested and finding out where the strand of the virus is, or where is it making the most impact. I've sat there and watched, and you learn something almost every time you sit down. But a few of these quick stats, though, and of course we've got Dr. Eric Law coming in to be on our show this morning, and he will be talking to us about the medical end of it, and we appreciate it very much. But this virus, as we mentioned already, has 866,677. As we mentioned at the top of your
the stat I found last night that impressed me, made me feel better, was the mortality rates by age group. And it's so, if you are age 30 to 39, you have a 0.18 chance of dying from the coronavirus, which is less than 1 in 500. If you're age 20 to 29, your mortality rate is 0.09, which is fewer than 1 in 1,000. So in other words, 999 people that get the coronavirus out of 1,000 are going to be fine. Now that jumps up. If you get over 80, the mortality rate is 18%. 18 out of 100 people, and 70 and older is high. Kids, 0 to 20 is almost infinitesimal. So what you have is you have a disease that is very, very, very serious for the elderly and people who are already ill, and not serious at all for younger people. Hey, Mike, I'm going to leave it with you for a second. I got to take my wife's.
Problem.
I got my wife's car keys, and she can't get.
We'll do, let's take a short break. We'll be right back with more.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Discounts, big selection, and really big deals. It's the big pre-owned sale, only at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Pre-owned vehicles start at $29.95. Over 50 vehicles under $15,000. $29 down, and you can drive today or take advantage of payments starting at $99 a month. That's $29 down, and payments starting as low as $99. From Montgomery to Dothan, the best pre-owned deal are at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or online at PremierChrysler.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, on a Tuesday as we head into our show. And, of course, if you're watching on Facebook, you can watch us around the world, across the nation and around the world. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at a crisis. There's just no question about it. And, Bill gave you all those stats just a moment ago about it says, about the young people out there, 30 to 39, are 1 out of 500 actually can have had problems, have been able to live through this virus and not have much problem with it. I think that's 1 out of 500 have actually died from the virus of that age, and 1 through 1,000 from 20 to 29. And then we're going to go to our phones. Good morning. You on Today in L.A.? How you doing?
Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, man, I tell you, there won't be a parade, I bet, though. I don't know about those guys up there. They might, but have they canceled it? Have they canceled the parade?
Canceled the parade. Where was there supposed to be a parade?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got a lot of data this morning, and we were talking about young people.
You got Seaside closing down here on 30A, so that was huge news yesterday.
Oh, really?
Of course, if you can't have a gathering of more than 10 people, you got to close places like Seaside because there's so many kids and so many families together that are over 10 people everywhere you go down there. I mean, it was just like one big party. I think everybody tried to ride this out down the beach, and now they're realizing that because of all this, a lot of these places are going to be forced to close. It's like a lot of restaurants are going to have to close, and it's just going to be takeout. I think even some of the restaurants are even going to sell alcohol as takeout as well.
Exactly, and we've got a lot of other things. McDonald's has just made the decision that they're going to close their dine-in. We've got Dr. Eric Law. Dr. Eric Law, come on up here. We're laid back. Dr. Eric Law, ladies and gentlemen, with Southern Health and Associates right here in Troy, and is my doctor. Good to see you, my friend, and I appreciate so much you coming on our show. Just for you to take a look at this morning, Dr. Law, before you sit down, I don't know if you've already looked at some of the stats. Those are up-to-date stats that we're getting off the computer. It's amazing the communication network that we do have access to here in the United States and across the world. In fact, we've got not only the worldwide stats up there, but also the highest going in Alabama.
Yes,
I appreciate no question about it. You coming in, I know you're busy. Tell us the way you not only are you looking at this situation, but is there a plan for people of Pike County?
So there's definitely a plan, and I appreciate the opportunity to come
Grab
on.
that mic right
yes,
there.
sir.
Excuse me. That's my fault. Just click that on right there real quick. There we go.
Better?
Yeah, that's fine. That's great.
Good. I appreciate the opportunity to come on. There's definitely a plan, and the plan for Pike County is basically the same plan nationwide. This is a virus that's as contagious as the flu, but is certainly more lethal than the flu. And so when people ask, well, why are we treating this differently than that? Whereas the flu would kill about 1 in 1,000, this is killing something more like 1 in 30.
Yeah.
And so where we might have 1 flu death or 2 flu deaths in Pike County, if this were to take off like the flu, it would be certainly a different kind of number. You'd be looking at much higher numbers, and for that to hit all at once, there's the worry that it would overwhelm the healthcare system.
Yeah. Of course, we were looking at these stats right now, and looking at the stats statewide, Doctor. We really have been very fortunate so far. That we are, the state of Alabama and this area here is okay, but at the same time, when you hear about these kids from ages 1 to 30 to 39, and I reckon you call them kids, or from 20 to 29, the percentages of these guys getting the virus are that 1 out of 1,000 and 1 out of 500. They're not taking this very responsibly at all. They're down on the beach and they're playing, and what I'm saying, we've got to make these folks or let these people realize that they have a responsibility to older people, like from 70 to 80.
That's right.
That are much more susceptible to actually lose your life here.
Sure. Well, that's very much the case. Is that in the South and in Troy, we talk about taking care of people a lot and taking care of each other, and this is an opportunity for us to do just that, to take care of each other. In this case, that means practicing social distancing, which what that means is avoiding those large gatherings. It may mean that we worship differently. Our church has gone to online worship only, and we'll gather and
tell them your church too. I want you to recognize your church.
Yes, sir, Troy Church. This last week we made the decision to go ahead and have online services only, and meet in just small groups of 10 or 12 people. And the reason was, at that time there wasn't even a reported case in Alabama, but we knew that it was coming. Yeah. And what we have to know is, even though right now I think the cases reported are 29 in Alabama.
29 in Alabama right now.
You have to know that
no deaths so far.
Right, but the way this virus works is the first 5 days or so are asymptomatic, which means that there are cases right now we don't know about, and so we have to know that number is going to go up invariably. Yeah. And what we want to do is get ahead of it and prevent the spread, so that we're not getting these huge numbers like we see in flu season. And if we see that, it's going to be a much worse situation.
Exactly right. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with you. We've got another guest in the studio, and we're going to bring her in, and we're going to get a lot of information right now, ladies and gentlemen, about what locally is happening that we might not know about right now, but you'll know about soon. We'll be right back.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
I've been working for this my whole life. The chance to relax on the open water. With my my financial institution, Max, my Achieve checking account earns dividends. So I'm free to do what I love.
Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA Choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy, all at cost plus 10%.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Ladies and gentlemen, back to our show, and Amy Miner has joined us. She is the Chief Clinical Assistant at Troy Regional Medical Center right here in Troy, and good to have you, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm
Good
not
morning.
going to shake your hand.
That's right.
And, but I'll give you an elbow if
That's
I need
right.
to. Of course, that sounds funny, but it's the way we got to do it for here on. We're talking about the coronavirus, and it is spreading like wildfire. That's what sort of scared me. And we've already talked about, Amy, nationwide, 186,000 plus deaths by the corona.
No, that's worldwide.
Worldwide, what did I say?
186,000 cases.
186,000 cases, my
Yes,
phone. And 7,400 have died. These estimates they actually are correct figures. I'm just not giving them to you right this second. It would be 7,471 have died out of that 186,677. That's worldwide. But statewide, of course, in the United States, 4,743. We have had 93 deaths in the United States. In Alabama, so far, knock on wood, there's no deaths that have been brought to their attention, but they do have 29 people that are confirmed to have the virus. So those are just some of the stats that I think a lot of you will like to know. This thing, Amy, of course, you represent the hospital.
Yes, sir.
And on down the line, I know you have concerns. First of all, let's get deeper into the virus itself. Tell us exactly what kind of virus this is. I know people would like to know that information, and how you or how we're going to be able to stop it.
So this is a coronavirus, and coronaviruses, most people have never heard of, but it's not an uncommon type of virus. This COVID-19 variety is different than your average coronavirus, which some colds, can be coronaviruses. But this virus seems to cause a much greater reaction in the lower respiratory system, the lungs, to the extent that you get pneumonias, and at least in the elderly population or the more susceptible population, can have respiratory failure.
So what it does, it causes pneumonia. I mean, and pneumonia is pretty much what kills it's killing these people. Is that right?
That's right. So it's not an unusual type of virus, but it's an unusual virus in the way that it acts on the body. And unlike the flu, which many of us will have some immunity to, and especially if you take your flu shot, no one has immunity to this, it seems. And so that's why you're seeing numbers be as big as they are.
Now, the younger people, we mentioned that earlier, 1 through 29, 1,000 times chance of getting the virus. 30 to 39, you've got 1 to 500 chance of getting the virus. And then from 80 and over, we're talking about older people that are could already have other medical problems, their percentages jump right up there, 80 and above 18% so far.
18% mortality in those 80 and above, and just 1 in 1,000 in people 20, 30. And that's why this is really a community effort, because even if you're one of those 20 to 30 or 30 to 40 year olds who maybe is not as likely to have dire medical problems because of this, if you do see yourself having signs of illness, you need to isolate yourself. You need to quarantine. You need to call your healthcare professional and your primary care physician or nurse practitioner, physician's assistant, and let them tell you how their office is referring people. I know you'll see some offices begin to go more to telemedicine right now to help practice that social distancing. And Blue Cross Blue Shield and Medicare, Medicaid have made allowances for that. But whatever you do, don't just run straight into your doctor's office or to the ER for that matter and say, hey, I'm sick. Call ahead, let them know what's going on so that they can take steps both to allow you to get the best care possible and to take care of the people who are around you.
Do they call the nursing, excuse me, do they call the medical center, or do they call their doctor?
If you have a primary care physician, we'd prefer you go that route first, because your primary care physician will guide you as to which way you need to go based on your symptoms. For patients who don't have primary care physicians or relationships already built, they can call the hospital at 670-5000, and we can try to guide them towards the right path.
Do we know how to treat it?
Well, so because it's a virus, there are no antibiotics to treat it. There are some antiviral medicines that are being studied, but nothing right now. So largely, treatment is supportive, which means trying to give the body what it needs and support respiration. But no, there are no cures for the virus.
That's what's so scary, really.
What kind of issues are y'all having to deal with? The fact it's pollen season and everybody has horrible allergies, and then they're like basically feeling like because they're sick that it's the coronavirus. I mean, aren't you having to deal with a lot of stuff like that as well?
There's that, and it's also flu season, and we are seeing active cases of the flu, which is makes it difficult to tease out. But part of our protocol will be testing both for the flu and as well, oftentimes for strep throat, before we do the coronavirus test, because if you have strep throat or if you have the flu, we don't see people having both.
Now, we've been fortunate, as we mentioned earlier, that there have been no deaths in Alabama. There's right now only 29 cases, and no cases in Pike County as of yet. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, if we do get a case, how will it be handled? Will the hospital handle it, or will the local doctor handle it?
That's a really good question. So, as we said, if you call ahead to your physician or to the hospital, let them know what's going on. Likely what they're going to direct you to do is, if you do have suspicious symptoms, get your testing done, and that collection is all being done at the hospital and then shipped out for testing at this time. And as that changes, there'll be announcements. But get your testing done, and then it's a 3 to 4 day turnaround to find out whether or not that test is positive. So after you have your testing done, we're likely going to ask you stay in your house. Even within your house, try to sort of isolate yourself so as not to pass it on to others when possible, and wait for any test results to come back. And if you do have the virus, even then, you're likely to be asked to stay home and take care of yourself at home, or have others take care of you, and not come to the hospital unless directed to do so that you can get more advanced care.
The key word here is fever.
Fever, cough.
They say that fever is the main ingredient of the coronavirus. Is that right?
That's right. And a fever is usually something that's 100.4 or above.
Yeah. Where can I find
100.4.
that?
I was surprised to hear that. That doesn't really seem like a real high fever.
What, 104?
100.4.
100.4. He's talking about 100.4, Mike.
Well,
I know. That's what I'm saying. 100.4 doesn't seem that high.
Well, and certainly, I think a lot of cases of this are going to have a higher fever, but The point I'm making there is people call a lot with 99s or 99.7, and that's not a true fever.
Yeah.
I was watching that on a show last night. I was surprised with that number at 100.4. I was telling my wife.
Well, is 104? Is it 100.4, or would we call it 104?
100.4.
All right. So what is
We have a little daughter, and she almost had 102 temperature the other night. She's a 2-year-old, and it took probably over 24 hours for that to come down under 100. So I was just thinking, that didn't seem like a really high temperature, but maybe it is.
Well, I've heard of 101, 102, 103, 104. This is 100.4.
The most important thing about that number that I'm saying is some people will say, well, I've got a low-grade fever, and they'll say it's a 99, which is not really a fever.
Yeah.
So that goes more to the question of allergies and all the other things that go around this time of the year that cause us to run a temperature of 99 or 99.5.
All right.
I was telling Dad last week I had to go to the doctor because I woke up real achy, and my legs, were achy. My whole body was achy, and I was thinking I was getting the flu, or, I didn't know if I had the coronavirus or what. And then I had horrible headaches for at least a day and a half, 2 days, and now I'm feeling better now. But you hear different stories. Some people talk about body aches with the coronavirus. Some people do talk about headaches, and some people say they never got the shortness of breath. Some people say they never got the fever. So, I don't know. Do you have to have the fever? Do you have to have the shortness of breath to have the corona?
That's a great question. So the big three symptoms are the fever, cough, and shortness of breath. Now, there are people who likely are carrying the virus who don't have all three of those symptoms. And there may even be some people who carry it who aren't very symptomatic at all, especially those younger people. And that kind of goes again to the point of social distancing. We're not asking you to wait until you have symptoms to distance yourself and to take precautions for those around you. We're asking you to practice that up front as a safety measure, both for yourself and for everyone around you.
Of course, we're looking at, I'm sure if it's real heavy load of people that are coming in to the emergency room, whatever, I'm sure y'all will work out something to be able to separate the corona patients from the other patients.
That's
Is that right?
We are screening everyone who comes into the hospital beginning today. Everyone who comes in the building will be screened for these symptoms just to make sure. We have limited visitation, so if you have friends, family members in the hospital right now, we are going to limit the visitation and the access of the public to those patients.
Now, how would that be like, say, one person?
One person, and no one under the age of 18. And that's pretty consistent with what we're seeing in hospitals across this area.
This is Amy Miner, Chief Clinical Officer at Troy Regional Medical Center, and of course,
So you're hearing a lot about ventilators, how important it is to have a stockpile of that. Right now, does Pike County have plenty of ventilators?
Pike County, Troy Regional has ventilators.
That's right.
But it's kind of hard to overemphasize while we're talking about slowing this thing down. There are some just horror stories coming out of Italy and places like that of hospitals run at 200% capacity and not having enough ventilators and having to make some really hard triage type decisions. So that's what we're trying to do here is keep the numbers relatively low. And again, everything you're hearing reported today, it will go up over the next 5 to 7 days. And what we want to do is, by taking action now, prevent it, when it hits 20,000, prevent it from just escalating from there.
Yeah. And of course, you will, right now, you'll handle it as a case coming into the hospital. Is that right? Or would his doctor have to refer him to the hospital?
To get outpatient specimen collection, we're asking that the doctor's patients go to there or call their doctor, and if Dr. Law or his colleagues want you tested, then they'll send us the order, and we have a process in place that those patients can come to the hospital and not be intermingled in with other ER patients or waiting rooms and those types of things. The more segregated we can handle that, the better we are. So we have that process in place, and it's working very well.
I am married to a perfect example of what you're supposed to do, you know, and one of them is my wife, Carol, is wash your hands, and it's not just sticking them over the water, it's getting soap, and it's taking this soap and washing your hands real closely, and she's got all this work and all this and this and this.
That's
20
right.
seconds
That's right.
of solid scrubbing, and then you dry it off, and then the next time you use it, you wash it again. Is that right?
That's right. Singing all the way through the ABCs while you're doing it, or the Happy Birthday twice, going all the way up to your wrist, and then after those 20 seconds, rinsing and drying.
And of course,
So what about things like right now? I mean, as far as people out there listening, I mean, are you better to use your debit cards and credit cards? Is cash like just too dirty to use right now? I mean, as far as money and dollars and change had to have tons of germs on them.
Yeah, I think you're going to hear more about that as we go forward. Now that we have, a few thousand confirmed cases in the U.S., and I think that's something that'll be talked about more in the public health sector as being a real issue. But that goes back to the washing your hands. This virus lives for a limited period of time on surfaces. Now that limited period of time is still days, but if you wipe down regularly on your solid surfaces with a verified antiviral cleanser.
And this is one of them. Is that right, or this is soap? What is it?
Well, that's a hand sanitizer that's rated 60% alcohol base. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so periodically through the day you need to do this. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, people need to clean their cell phones too. A lot of people spend their whole lives on their phones. Those need to be make sure they clean those off.
Yeah, exactly.
Pay attention to high touch areas also, doorknobs, keypads, our pin pads when we do use our debit card, things like that. So pay attention to those high touch that multiple people are touching frequently.
And what we were talking about earlier, you've got to protect the interests of your patients. People that are in the hospital now, and of course
and our staff
they're
as
called
well.
for just one visitor per visit, but at the same time, are those people checked out when they come in?
They will be screened as to whether they have fever, any cough, any shortness of breath, or if they've been in contact with anyone. Yes.
And we don't actually have the kit right now, do we?
Well, what we have locally, and this is the case most places, we have collection kits. It's the same sort of collection specimen kit that we'd use for a lot of other viruses, but we have those, and then we're sending that off through either a commercial lab or the state lab for actual testing.
Yeah, but it would be rare, but so far we haven't seen this, at least in the United States, in the small cities. Most of the places that we're seeing where the high numbers are in bigger cities, and it's because there's more people. Is that right?
That's right. The odds
or
are
more
greater.
people gathering close together. The worst place in the world to go would be to a ball game, and that's why all across this country we're having baseball and sporting events actually called off until way after the season.
Yeah, and I know yesterday the Sun Belt announced they would have no further athletic activities until for the remainder of the academic season. Mike, basically for the next 8 weeks or so, maybe more after that, we're just asking people to avoid crowds. And a football stadium with 20 to 100,000 people is a prime place to spread it really quickly.
We could be looking at maybe even them taking football away from us, and that would be awfully sad.
Well, I think there's certainly hope that.
But very responsible. Excuse me.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly the point. Is we love baseball, we love basketball, love March Madness.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about trying to save tens of thousands of lives very conservatively, if not more, it's worth taking some fairly drastic measures like social distancing.
Well,
what about the heat? You keep on hearing stories. Oh, it's about to get hotter. It's going to be in the 80s. The virus can't live when it's going to get hot in the summer months. But then Trump came out yesterday and said this could go on through July and August. I mean, what's y'all's opinion on that? Will the heat help maybe get rid of this?
Easy answer to that is nobody knows.
We hope.
Yeah, we certainly hope it will, but we're not gonna bet your health or my health on it. We're gonna take the appropriate steps.
The thing that we're
I live in Grayton Beach, so I'm down right in the heart of 30A. So I'm literally watching hundreds of people run and head to the beach right now out my window, and it's just one of those things where there's probably 800 people on the beach. Of course, they closed Seaside and closed Seaside beaches yesterday. Walton County beaches where I live are going to stay open. You can't have any events on the beach anymore, no bonfires, no gatherings of more than 10 people. You can't have weddings. So they're going to try to, make it where if you're on the beach, you're going to be, the smaller groups and apart from one another. But, I'm just trying to figure out, all these people came down here, from all over the country, all over the Southeast, but they could be bringing the virus down here to...
That's what so irresponsible. That's
to an area that doesn't have a lot of hospitals and doesn't, there's a lot of elderly people down here, the snowbirds down here right now, I mean, people that are retired, so I don't know what to think of it all. It's kind of a strange situation.
Well, and all those people who are coming down there are going to take it back home with them.
That's right.
As well.
It's a very irresponsible person that's down there at the beach.
I mean, they'd already paid for their spring break.
That don't matter, man. We're talking about a human life. We're talking about somebody's life, man.
It goes to a point.
This thing's serious.
The economy is going to take a hit in all of this. That will be okay in the long run. The economy is pretty resilient and will spring back. What we have to do now is take those responsible measures. And I guess my request to anybody who's saying, well, I still want to go and do this and that, is not, I'm not asking you to understand the virus or understand the public health risk, but just listen to those who have spent their lives doing it. And, doctors' offices are going to take a hit over this. Everybody is, but we got to do what's right.
I'm going to tell you, this could hit Alabama. Yes, the great state of Alabama. It could hit us as hard as anybody if we got everybody going to the beach instead of going home and staying inside their houses for 2 weeks at least.
I mean, do you think we should have a mandatory quarantine for 2 weeks and just...
A lot of people think that.
Even in areas that have had much higher numbers, we're not saying exactly mandatory quarantine, but what we're talking about is limiting your going out of your house to just the essential things. Yeah. If you have to go to the hospital, if you have to go to the grocery store, and I know grocery stores are taking their own steps as well to make sure they're cleaning up and trying to keep those high-touch areas clean.
Yeah. And I was at the grocery store last night. Probably gonna go back today because I'm trying to be prepared. But so far there's still food available now. A lot of breads are gone, and the water. Will water be water? I mean, you can still drink water out of your spigot.
Water should not be an issue. The big thing, even talking about what you're talking about, going to the grocery store. I know some of the grocery stores have started to limit certain items that you can get.
That's right.
And again, I would just stress this is an opportunity for us. I know we're talking about distancing ourselves, but it's an opportunity for us to take care of each other by taking those relatively common sense steps. Yeah. That are a little different than anything we've ever done, but this is a little different time.
Yeah. You know what they should have done? They should have canceled AEA. They should have canceled the spring holidays and told everybody to go home.
Spring breaks got extended, so in Atlanta and Tennessee.
Hey, man, it don't matter where it is. You know what? Those people are going to end up dying if they don't watch out.
You can't talk about it like that. The percentages are not the way you're making it.
Well, what I'm saying, though, if it costs one life, Mike, how would it be worth it?
I'm just saying that they had an extra week for spring break, so instead of staying 1 week, they're staying 2 weeks down here.
I think it's important, too, that we remember, this isn't a time to necessarily be fearful. We need to be very respectful of the virus and the things that we know that will stop the spread of that. So, you know, we don't want people to be afraid.
State
We
of
just want them to be
Washington
smart.
is the perfect example of what could happen if it gets in a nursing home or in a facility like that.
Sure, and part of that being respectful that Amy's talking about is nursing homes and assisted living facilities are similarly shutting down to visitors or having only very rare visitors. So, but again, it's not a time to leave people alone entirely. It's a time to check in on them by phone, make sure they're doing well, and see how you can help them.
The only reason, and I hate to be so negative, but the only real reason our stats are down so long, we just hadn't checked. We hadn't had a check. You know, people have not checked, been checked out.
People haven't been tested.
Or tested, yeah.
Yeah, and you will see cases come up as there are more tests done, and there's a little bit of lag again because people are not symptomatic right away. So you're going to see those numbers go up, but we don't want to wait until we have 20 or 25,000 cases, which we almost certainly will hit in the U.S.
Right.
We want to address it now so that when those numbers hit that, we're already taking the right steps.
All right, let's take a quick.
What is the days? You have 2 to 14 days to start showing symptoms after you come up. I mean, I guess had the virus.
I think it's around 90% are showing symptoms within 5 days, but certainly there are those who are taking longer.
All right, let me look at some real quick, Doctor. I know you don't have that much more time, but we're looking at us, all right? This thing started in China. There are 80,000 or so cases in China. The next country is Italy. Why did it run so fast with Italy being a small country? They had around 28,000 total cases. They've had 2,100 deaths. China's had 3,200 deaths. Why would it affect a country like Israel, which is not that big?
Well, Italy is
Italy,
the highest death rate of anybody, mainly because it's an older population.
Yeah, that's right.
But you know, the number that you see there, Mike, 27,000 cases in Italy. The U.S. is tracking on par with Italy, just several days behind, about 10 days behind Italy right now.
That's what I was thinking.
And so, you know, that's why we're talking about taking caution, not panic at all. The grocery stores will restock. And
that's
so
right.
We can responsibly take just what we need and not try to clean the shelves.
That's right. That's right.
But being responsible and taking those steps to stay home and not expose other people or expose yourselves.
Let me ask you something I'm looking for, is a thermometer.
Thermometers may
where can I get a thermometer?
Well, generally the drugstore.
Have y'all got any?
Oh, we don't have any that we can
how
share.
do you check your temperature?
You go to Burns Drugs every day of your life.
Yeah.
Mike, they've been out of thermometers for a month. Yeah, let me tell you something. A lot of people have been getting ready for this for over a month. Right. Responsible people have, you know.
My big question there right now is like, you know, what's good to have around the house as far as medicines like Gatorades, you know, airborne emergencies, all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, is that stuff that's good for people to be taking right now?
So if you get into a situation where you're ill, certainly staying hydrated is one of the biggest things. And as far as medicine, you know, we call them antipyretics, things like ibuprofen, Motrin, or acetaminophen to help bring a fever down. But those are, you know, that and a thermometer are basically the tools to have at home to take care of yourself right now.
And hopefully I can find one somewhere today. But you know, like I said, my wife.
You're hearing a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine, and then people on Facebook. You know, you're having a lot of people say, "Yeah, I had something like this about a month ago," and I remember my wife had something like this about a month and a half ago. I mean, is there any chance that this was here before that we actually realized, or is it? I mean, is that just people saying that they had the symptoms like a month and a half ago, and everybody, you know, got sick, and you know, now everybody's doing fine now? I mean, is there any chance this was here way before we thought it was?
Not really, no. The first case you saw reported was not the first physical case in the U.S., but it's not been 2 or 3 weeks before that.
Yeah. Of course, Mayor Jason Reeves is with us in our studio, and we're going to have him come up in a moment. And, of course, Have you doctors, have y'all coordinated with each other?
To some extent we have, and those meetings are ongoing. I know we're going to be talking to several doctors later on after business hours tonight, and likely we'll have an even bigger meeting in the days ahead.
Okay, the hospital prepared, y'all have gone over and over.
Yes,
now,
sir.
will you have, how many beds do y'all have?
We can probably take care of about 50 people total
Yeah,
between
exactly.
our ICU, our medical surgical unit, and we watch that every shift, every day, hour by hour.
And then, of course, you've got the National Guard and you've got other assistance that you can get. Is that right?
That's right, and so we're trying to keep from overwhelming our medical system by taking all these social distancing measures. But Mike, you can't make a stronger point for why it's so important to have a good, strong local hospital than this sort of situation right here. Troy Regional is helping lead the way on this.
Yes, exactly right. We're going to bring Jason Reeves up here in just a few moments. I know y'all don't have much more time. But something that, right now, and we're going to be running this show quite a bit for information purposes. Of course, we've got this virus which is growing, and it's going to grow. You see all these stats, and they say, well, he's trying to scare us to death. Well, maybe we need to be scared to death.
Okay.
Because I mean, this could be, it could get bad.
Sure. I think I'd maybe say alerted action. To speak to your point a few minutes ago, Mike, about a month ago, I had my sort of realization moment that this was going to get really bad or had the potential to get bad. But I'm not afraid of this, and I don't think Amy's afraid of this. We're going to be okay, but we're going to be a lot more okay if we are smart and take care of each other and take heed of all these things that public health officials are telling us.
Stay away from large crowds. And we're going to bring Jason in here in a second. I'm sure he's got some rules himself, within the city.
So what about when the winter months come and you have flu season and we're going to have just the coronavirus season? I mean, is this just going to be around for several years?
It's a good question. And we don't know entirely. We think we're probably at least 9 to 12 months away from a vaccine, which is remarkable time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's them really taking unheard of measures.
Mike, I'm going to say something that you don't want to hear, and you don't want to hear out there, and you don't want to hear out there. This virus is 10 times stronger than the flu.
Probably more than 10.
All right, hear that? More than 10 times stronger than the flu.
The mortality rate overall is probably more like 25 to 30 times stronger than the flu.
25 to 30 times stronger the mortality rate. That's scary.
It's the reason that we're doing things that we don't do for regular flu seasons. Yes, sir.
I mean, this is not your ordinary virus. This is something and people. The thing is, we've got to have the cooperation of our citizens.
That's right.
And
do the things that we're being asked to do.
Exactly
Wash
right.
our hands, isolate socially, don't go into those large crowds. Just be smart and be prepared.
Exactly.
That's what we're asking people
How about
to
do
do.
you let the kids run in the street?
I think you control the kids.
Well, running
In the yard is fine.
Man, when I was growing up, everybody played in the street, didn't they?
Go home when the lights come
But
on.
and of course your dad, assisted living, those places are being alerted everywhere. Is that right?
That's right. But kids can play together in the yard
And if
in small groups.
If there is a case that comes up, is your phone number available?
Yes, sir. 566-9800 is Southern Health Associates.
566-9800.
Yes, sir. And
That's an easy one to remember.
This is not an easy time to get in as a new patient, but if you're a patient of ours, certainly let us know, because we're not going to abandon the phone lines. We're going to be working those. And as I said, you're probably going to get a call about things like telehealth. Those things are going to be coming out, and we're going to be doing that more over the next couple of weeks. And Amy again mentioned the hospital number.
That's right. 670-5000 is the hospital number.
670-5000. All right, now listen. 670-5000. Hello, is this the hospital? Yeah, my name's Mike Amos. I live on Crow Hill, North George Wallace Drive. All right. Can I see a doctor? I need to see a doctor. What are you going to say?
We're going to ask you first a few questions. Tell me more about what's going on. If you have...
I have a fever. I have aches. I have some sweats. I don't feel good.
Do you have a doctor? Do you have a primary care physician? If so,
Yes,
and you're
Dr.
medically...
Law is my primary physician.
We're going to ask you to call Dr. Law's office, discuss with him, and then if he feels necessary to test you or to collect a specimen, he would then let us know.
Go
If
ahead.
you're having severe shortness of breath and you feel like you're in an emergency medical condition, we're going to tell you to call 911 if it's a true emergency.
So the shortness of breath could trigger something. I mean, if they got shortness of breath, you're more concerned about that patient. Is that right?
The shortness of breath is a sign of lower respiratory complications taking place, and those are the things that are a little more serious. But we're gonna have a sort of a grade 8 radiator.
Bring him in on that end over there. Come on in here. We need to talk to you. Okay, all right, okay. What now?
Those are the people you need to be talking
All right, okay, all right, good. That's what we're trying to do. All right, hey, listen. Do you give me an antibiotic? What do you?
No antibiotics, because it's a virus. Antibiotics won't touch it.
That's very important.
Yeah.
To know that this is not, this is not going to be cured by antibiotics.
That's right. And taking Tamiflu or the newer flu medicines won't cure it either. But it's something that your healthcare provider can help guide you through those measures of staying home, and then if you need to escalate care, you can.
Yeah. I talked to my good friend Joe Watson. I said, Joe, you gonna be with? He said, I'm gonna be with us all the way through this thing. That's right. What a great man. Hey, providing a service for his clientele, and you would hope that all the druggists would be like that. Y'all coordinate with them?
Not a ton. It's hard to coordinate with some of the big guys, the chain stores. Guys like our local drugstores are incredibly helpful in situations like this.
You can't find a mask anywhere. You got one?
We've got a few.
How important, all right, very, very important right here. How important is the mask?
So if you have symptoms and we're trying to keep you from spreading those symptoms as you come into a healthcare setting, we're probably going to put a mask on you. That mask that you most commonly will come across is not going to protect you from the virus. There are specialized masks, but again, one, it's hard to come by them right now, and two, I wouldn't recommend trying to hoard them or anything. Just by practicing these basic protocols, we can take care of each other.
Wash your hands thoroughly, 20 seconds, and we're talking about 10, 20, 15, or 30, 40 times a day. Wash your hands. And the other things, we're not asking you to be on any kind of diet.
Right.
They say that it's not good to drink too much alcohol.
Sure.
Is that right?
That's right, for a lot of reasons.
We're talking about too much alcohol, yeah, exactly.
But covering your cough when if you do have a cough and you're around anybody, cover your cough with your sleeve or your arm.
Sleeve?
That's right.
Right.
Keep.
Now I eat like Robin Hood, Hey, excuse me.
As a generality, keeping a little distance from other people when you are in public, but keeping those public outings to just what you have to do.
And I think it's important also, if you're sick, stay at home. If you have those symptoms, if you're coughing, if you have a fever, don't go to the store for yourself. Yeah. Have someone go for you and leave it on your front porch maybe.
All right, I'm going to ask a couple of more questions. People think that little children are immune to this. Are they?
No, they're not immune. They may have milder symptoms, but not immune. And the kids, even though they tend to do well, they become what we call vectors, which is they carry that virus to someone else who may not do as well.
And how many times you pick one up and everything? Pregnant women.
I'm not sure that we have the perfect answer on that yet. I know the ACOG has released guidelines for care in pregnancy. I'm not an expert on that, so I won't try to speak to it.
Doctors, how do you keep from getting the virus?
Well, a lot of it's going to be, when we are in contact with someone we know has it, using those personal protective equipment measures that are recommended, and then also we're going to practice the same sort of social distancing that we're talking about everybody else doing, We're going to try to have fewer people in the office and help protect the public.
And your church is closed, like most churches are closed. And everybody says, well, why are these churches closed? It's not that they don't want to be there for you. It's just not good sense, because you are going to spread the virus more if you're involved with a bunch of people. Is that right?
And I would make one small caveat there, Mike. Not closed, just worshiping in a different way, and that's kind of the way we as a society have to look at those things. We've got to say this is not shutting everything down. This is taking care of each other by doing things differently.
Yeah. And wherever you are, wear gloves. If you go grocery shopping, why not wear gloves? Don't worry how it looks. Like my motto from the very beginning was, don't be scared, be prepared.
That's right.
Don't be scared, be prepared. And I'm trying to scare you a little bit this morning, because we've got to get these people more responsible. Those people at the beach are not responsible. They need to get on back home and be with their families like everybody else is doing. Before
restaurants, I mean, what's y'all's opinion on that? I mean, do you feel like all restaurants should just basically be drive-through only right now, or pickup service?
I think most restaurants, and I know Jefferson County has enacted some further measures on this. I think most restaurants are going to sort of a drive-through only. I saw some restaurants that kind of pulled their chairs out of their sitting areas so that people don't congregate and stay. They go ahead and take their food and go home, so as they're not exposing people.
Just spread the news that we've got to get.
I guess right now you're better if you do go to a restaurant to try to eat outside.
I think that would be a reasonable measure, sure.
Again, just think of it from the concept of social distancing. Restaurants are crowded. We're really in close proximity, so that's the goal there.
What if you had a condominium that had, say, like 80 condominiums, and they opened their windows and all that?
Should be just fine. Now, if you're 6 feet away from other people, and you're practicing those good hand hygiene and covering your cough kind of things, you should be okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, good. Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Any last minute things? I mean, something that'll stick to their brains.
Take it seriously, and take heed of all these measures. Stay home. Enjoy a little bit of time at home with family, and if you do need something, call ahead.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you so much. Anything else from the hospital? The hospital's ready. They're getting ready.
We are, and we're there for our community. We want to be there for our community. We just want you to take the proper steps ahead of time so that you don't get sick enough that you need us. So.
And there could be a lot of your people that work for you working overtime and going beyond the call of duty. Is that right?
I'm sure before this is over, yes, we'll see a lot of that. Our goals are to take care of our patients and take care of our employees also, our physicians, our nurses, every discipline out there so that we are prepared for the community.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're bringing Mayor Jason Reeves in here, and we're going to find out what's happening from our government, and we're looking forward to hearing what he has to say. Again, go ahead and make sure you got some of this. Hey, turn around here.
Thanks.
You can't do that too much. Thank you.
And my wife is the best in the world. I've never seen anybody that goes by this better than she does. And I hope she's watching this morning. I'm proud of her. We'll be back with Mayor Jason Reeves in just a moment.
Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA Choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy, all at cost plus 10%.
Ford Truck Month is going on now at Bill Jackson Ford, and folks, we have the deal for you. Take up to $6,000 off MSRP and get 0% APR for 72 months for huge savings on a new 2019 Ford F-150. Select new 2019 Ford Mustang starting at an incredibly low $23,900. Or drive home a select new 2019 Ford Escape starting at just $18,900. Bill Jackson is the name you've trusted for over 30 years. Check us out on Highway 231 in Troy or online at BillJacksonFord.com.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Excuse me, your United States number and the death. And then this is us.
We're back on there.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen. Bill Rice Jr. joined us, and ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Jason Reeves. And hey, we don't do any shaking going on right here.
We're social distancing.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's the truth. It could save your life, to tell you the truth. It's not just something that you make fun of. This is something you need to make sure you got in almost every room of your house.
Well, and Mike, that's one of the things that I've been trying to tell people. And, you know, one of the things that we love about the South and we love about home is, you know, we shake hands, we slap backs, we hug necks, and we can't do that right now. And it's a habit that we're in that we've got to get out of at this point in time. And, you know, we've got to practice that social distancing. We need to keep our distance. Just like you had Amy Miner and Eric Law were fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know they gave a lot of wonderful information, and I'm glad that you had them on for people to, you know, to hear some of those things. But we need to keep our distance. We need to not gather in groups of, you know, more than 10. You know, those things are important, and it's something that we've got to sort of get in the habit of. And you know, just like you said and everybody's talked about, you know, we got to wash our hands. We got to practice good hygiene, you know, because the best chance you've got to get in this is touching something that has a virus on it and then touching your face. Yeah. And so we've got to, you know, it's something that we've got to think about. And it is, you know, it's not the end of the world, but it's also not nothing.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, and they're, you know, you've got people on both sides that are, you know, some people are saying, oh, you know, and some people are saying, well, there's nothing to this. But no, this is a serious situation. Yeah. And, you know, it's a lot of, you know, I heard y'all talking earlier, you know, one of the issues with this, and you know, people have talked about it being like the flu. But it's, you know, just like Dr. Law was saying before I came up, and when you ask about antibiotics, most people that get sick with the flu and die get secondary pneumonia, which is, but it is treatable with antibiotics because it's bacterial. But this is not. And so, you know, trying to flatten this curve like they've talked about, you know, is really important. And but we don't need to, you know, we need to stay calm and do what we need to do. The city is, you know, we're open. You know, we have closed places that we feel like it's important to close. You know, we've closed the recreation center, but all our walking trails, and you know, you can still get outside, but you know, we can't have people, you know, congregating in close contact with one another. You know, we closed. You know, last week we closed the College Senior Complex and the Senior Nutrition Center.
Very important,
because those folks are you know, they're at a higher risk for this, and so, you know, that's important as well, that we, but if you know, and just like if you feel bad, you know, calling ahead, doing the things that you need to do, you know, we can help you. If you've got business that you need to take care of at City Hall, if you want to call ahead and say, this is what I've got going on, you know, we have a lot of ways that you can take care of business without having to come down there. But if you do have to come down there, we can make arrangements to make that as smooth and simple as possible. You know, we don't, you know, we just want folks to be careful. And,
you know, I'm thinking my buddies, they're going out to play golf. Well, is that good? You know, everybody loves, or going fishing, whatever it is, it's 2-on-2. You know, use your common sense more than anything. You know, if you're going to be in a crowd, you definitely need to be at home and away from a crowd.
Well, and I think what Eric and Amy were saying earlier is, just practice that social distancing. It doesn't mean you have to go, and it's not what we want you to do. We don't want you to go and lock yourself in your closet. But let's have some good common sense about this. Let's keep our calm. And we're not going to, institute martial law or shut down the stores and things of that nature. There were specific actions taken for Jefferson County, but really the guideline at this point is that that if you have a place that they go down to half of what their occupancy is supposed to be, and that you don't have big crowds, that people kind of stay away from each other, and that's
so right now in Troy, you can use the restaurants. You can walk in a restaurant.
Yes,
except
absolutely.
McDonald's now. They've
now I think they're and each one will do different things. I've heard some of them that have closed the dining room. Some of them are still open. The main thing is getting packed up in crowds. Yeah. And that is not that's not a wise thing to do, and we don't need to, it's St. Patrick's Day. We don't need 300 people to go into an enclosed space, and I mean we just need to keep our wits about us. And
as of this morning, Mayor, there were 29 actual cases in the state of Alabama, no deaths, just 29 so far, but we're talking about something that can spread so quickly from one person. Evidently, one person, maybe, hopefully, but one person probably brought it over here, and look where it's gone from there.
Well, and that's the thing is when you begin to, and that's what a lot of these models are based on is, if you think about someone who gets it and then comes in contact with numerous people, that can be an issue, and there's certainly a segment of the population that is up in age, that has serious underlying health concerns, that are going to need, that would end up, having to be hospitalized. As I know, Eric and Amy covered all that. I just, the main thing I want people to know is that we're staying on top of this. We had a meeting with the Alabama Department of Public Health, a lot of health providers, first responders. And we're gonna, we're still gonna come see about you. We had somebody at 3 o'clock this morning go into cardiac arrest. We went and our guys, got them, took care of them.
I mean, any other medical issue, they're gonna be there to cover it.
Absolutely. Well, and we're gonna come if you call and you're having shortness of breath and fever. We're gonna come and see about you. But instead of like we would normally do, send 4 or 5 guys in there, with all hands on deck. We're going to go in and we're going to have our guy, one man protected, to take this information, and then we're going to call the health provider or call the hospital, and we're going to figure out how we're going to handle this, and then we're going to mask the patient, and if we have to take them to the hospital, then we'll disinfect, the way we do that, and we're just going to pay attention and be smart about this, and not, you cannot dismiss this out of hand, and you can't curl up in a ball and say, oh, we're going to be okay, Mike.
It seems to me the whole thrust of what we're doing in the country is to prevent, if at all possible, a surge overrunning the hospitals. Because they already have patients. People are going to have heart attacks and surgeries, and they're going to need those ICUs already. And then if suddenly you got coronavirus on top of that, then you don't have the beds and so all these dramatic actions are being taken to prevent those scenes that we saw that went viral in China, where you had people in the hallways and in the hospitals, is what I think we're doing.
Well, and it's easy for somebody to sort of visualize, Bill, if we had a a bus that had 50 people on it, you know, have a serious accident on 231, and everybody had to go into the hospital. Just like Amy said, you know, we can take care of, say, 50 people. You know, obviously, you know, anybody would think, well, that would, you know, that's going to overwhelm our hospital and our health care. And then, you know, what happens if somebody, you know, so this could do the same thing if we're not, you know, I think we're on the path, you know, to getting on the other side of this. And I think when we get on the other side of it, you know, we're going to do the things that we need to do as a country, to take care of the folks that, you know, were economically impacted, you know, and I think the underlying aspects of our economy are very, very strong. I think we're going to bounce back from this, you know, strongly, and I think we're going to be okay.
The city of Troy will take a big hit on sales tax collections, won't it, or will it not?
Well, you know,
don't know yet.
It's hard to say, Bill. You know, there's a lot of people shopping.
No,
so I
sure
mean,
is.
it's, you know,
It's going up right now.
But
my main concern is the kids and the Troy City schools and all these kids that depend on, you know, your breakfast and your lunches, and you know that might be the only meals they get during the day. I mean, how can we go about supporting the youth of Troy, the kids that are in need as far as meals? I mean, is there anybody out there that's going to provide a place for moms and dads to go right now to get their kids something to eat?
Yeah, Michael, all the both school systems in the county are going to be feeding every day throughout this process. So, the USDA gave a waiver immediately on that, and so they'll be able to go by, you know, the Troy Elementary School, or Pike County Elementary or Goshen High School and pick up a meal, you know, every day throughout this. So that is, and our faith-based community has been awesome. You know, just like, you know, like Eric said, you know, we're just worshiping in a different way, and we've got a lot of people, you know, that are willing to do whatever they can, you know, to help our, you know, seniors. You know, they're calling them, they're checking on them, making sure, you know, everybody's okay. And, you know, and I think we need to take advantage of this from a standpoint of checking on the people that need to be checked on. And, you know, and when we stay home with our families, you know, we're all, you know, there's such a hustle and bustle now. We need to, you know, spend some time together as families.
That's right,
and,
no question.
So, but, you know, we've got a lot of, you know, I've had people ask, you know, are we gonna? I had a friend call me last night that lives in Atlanta, whose mother lives down here, and she was worried if she came to Atlanta to visit her and take care of some things that she might not be able to get back. That, you know, we're not going to, you know, there are absolutely no plans, and I see nothing in the future where we're going to have to shut anything down, or you know, from a standpoint of, you know, anything like that. So I mean, we don't. That's not a, you know, that's not a concern. We're gonna, you know, we just need to do the things we need to do.
But there's no question about it's your responsibility to keep your family or your child and your family away from situations where there's just a crowd of people, where the virus. We just don't need to give this virus a place to run.
Well, and I know Eric and Amy, I'm sure, said this, but if you're sick, stay home. And things are gonna, you know, that's very important. You know, and I think I know that Congress and the states are working on things, you know, for people that might not possibly have, you know, leave or that type of thing. So, you know, if you end up with you know, with this, you know, we're going to do things to make sure that everybody is taken care of. So we don't need it to run rampant. But
and again, we're not trying to scare you. We're trying to prepare you, and that's exactly the words that need to be known. And again. You know, that if you are concerned about your health, and you know, the basic things. One is a fever, The other one is
a cough.
A cough.
You know, those are the, you know, a cough, a fever.
Sore throat.
Shortness of breath, body aches.
Yeah, that shortness of breath is, you know, and see, and the thing that people need to realize, and I don't know if Amy and Eric covered this, but even if you go in and they do a collection on you, if you don't have a fever that's incredibly high, or you know, or you're not in respiratory distress, they're going to send you home to self-quarantine. Sure. So, you know, that's something that, you know, that's the biggest thing is to, you know, is to make sure that you, you know, if you are sick, that you stay home. And I think, like he said, you know,
I think I've read that 80% of the cases are mild. You stay home, you're going to find. 15% are serious, 5% are critical. So that's 20% that are probably going to need to be hospitalized. So it seems like the whole effort is to keep that 20% as low as possible. So 20% of what do we have in America right now isn't a whole lot. The hospital system can handle it. But if you get 20% of 50 million people that have it, then you got a lot of people that are going to have to be hospitalized.
All right, they used Italy as an example for the United States to follow. Well, Italy right now has had 27,980 cases. They've had 2,158 deaths. They have 2,749 have recovered, and active cases is 23,073. And serious or critical, they've got about 1,800. So Israel is having a pretty tough time, but we'll be at least that.
Not Israel, Italy.
Yeah. Well, God,
Italy.
How do you make that mistake?
I have a question. You saw nationally when everybody met with Trump, all the CEOs of different corporations. So you saw where Walmart and CVS and Walgreens all said that they were going to provide testing in their parking lots. Have you got an update on when Troy, like the Walmart Troy or the Walgreens, would actually provide testing kits for people to go and
not sure how long that's going to take, Michael. One of the things that I did offer to the Alabama Department of Public Health yesterday is Troy being centrally located. They're talking about setting up maybe 20 drive-through sites across Alabama. And, you know, obviously we've got a lot of parking lots out at the rec center. The university has a lot of parking areas, you know, that aren't being used right now. So, you know, we would be willing to help with that in any way we could. So, you know, I think is, you know, and we'll see more of that as, you know, as time goes by. And we, you know, we had private industry in our meeting yesterday. I think everybody is willing to work. You know, you mentioned Joe Watson saying he was going to be there through this whole thing. Yeah. I'll tell you a quick story before I go about that. The morning after Opal, Joe was one of the only people in town that had power. And my grandmother, Mama Sally, wanted a cup of coffee. And I didn't know where I was going to find her one. And I went by, and Joe was back there behind the counter, and I took her a tall cup of coffee. And you know, and our, you know, we've got great local businesses here, and they're going to be, you know, with us through this, and I want them to know we're going to be with them, you know, through this whole process. And, you know, we're going to, you know, I saw the Secretary of the Treasury do something on, you know, Saturday, you know, saying we're in the early innings of this. And so, you know, there are going to be a lot of things that federal, state, and local governments do, you know, as we work through this, you know, to make sure that we get, you know, our economy, you know, recovered from this coronavirus too.
We've got a call in. Good morning, you're on Today in LA. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, Will Matthews. How you doing?
Will, we've got the Mayor, Jason Reeves, on our show this morning, and we've had Dr. Eric Law and also Amy Miner with the hospital. What are the people in Ozark doing about this situation?
They're shutting everything down, Mike, which was my advice. I canceled canceled my courts last week. Now the state has canceled all the courthouses. All over the state are closed, and the city courts are closed, and you know, people just need to listen to what they're saying, what the government's telling you, and go home and sit it out.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you mean by they've shut it all down? I want to hear what's all shut down.
Well, I can give you examples of things. They're not having court in Ozark. They're not having council meetings in Ozark. For example, you go to McDonald's, you won't go inside to eat. They're not letting you in. You've got to go through the drive-thru. And I went through Starbucks in Dothan this morning, and you had to go through the drive-thru. I mean, they're trying to hold down crowds, basically.
Does that mean golfers on Saturday? Does that mean golfers on Saturday?
Actually, the golf courses are open. I mean, that's, you know.
You stay within 12 feet, you mean?
Social distancing, you got a 500-yard par 5. You're not going to be rough against anybody else.
No. And now, for example, Dothan Country Club, where I'm a member, where I play golf, they no longer have the daily buffet they've had for years. Okay?
Yeah.
They don't have the Sunday brunch anymore. But you can go there and eat, and you can order off the menu.
Yeah.
And you can do that. But I think everybody's trying to be smart about this.
Yeah. But now you still your city offices. Some of them are closed and some of them are open, Mayor.
Yeah, that's correct. We've we've got several places that are we've got our senior centers, our nutrition center, our recreation center.
What about the library?
The library is under what we're doing there is we're restricting people to under an hour if they want to go in and get something and come back out, and we're using sanitation going in, coming out, and we're protecting our employees, but we're not allowing people to really gather, so they can
great
come
place
in.
to get movies. Boy, have you ever
Books. Everybody's going to want books and movies for that.
Yeah, and they can go in, but they can't stay. They just go in. They get what they're looking for, and they move back out.
All right, here's something more important than anything: the Postal Service. Will they still be operating? You know?
Yeah, to my knowledge, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. It's always good to know that you're gonna get a letter every now and then.
A bill.
Hey, Mike, you may think this is crazy, but
Will's the attorney from Ozark.
I'm going to be in my house the next 2 weeks. And my office is going to be open, but not to the public. I mean, if you want to see me or talk to me, it's going to be on the telephone. And I think most of the people are doing that. Now, I'll tell you this. Today, I just left my office. I'm headed back to the house. I mailed my son 6 rolls of toilet paper.
No.
I'm serious.
Oh.
His wife went 3 places yesterday. Of course, they didn't have it. There was no toilet paper anywhere, and it mind boggles me.
Well, I want to know how was it Charmin? If it was Charmin, it went for a high price.
It was Charmin.
They still had it at Piggly Wiggly last night, but it was getting low.
I tell you what, Piggly Wiggly might be your last resort. Yeah.
I need to go.
Okay. The mayor, we appreciate you so much, my friend. No. Take care. That's right.
Thank y'all, and we're gonna be okay.
Mayor, come here a minute. Get a good hit before you leave here. We appreciate you, my friend.
Jason is up on top of everything, I can tell.
Appreciate you calling this morning, Will Matthews. Will Matthews calling in from Ozark, and folks in Ozark being close to the military, y'all probably have sufficient hospital equipment at the military base. Is that right?
Mike, that hospital at the military can't handle this. They have really got it's not even a real hospital almost. Yeah. It's really been. But the hospital.
But see, they probably can develop a hospital pretty quick, though, probably, couldn't they?
I think that's what the government is going to try to do is take a lot of these military hospitals, VA hospitals, open them up to people that are exposed to this stuff and see if they can help them.
And you'll probably have medic helicopters moving in from different places to provide equipment and hopefully to provide ways to measure this, whether or not he's...
Well, the military would be equipped to do these field hospitals. That's what they do in wars and field training exercises, so that could happen.
Right.
Well, the testing is going to be so important to know where the virus is, and they can adapt to it that way.
I think everything we're doing now is going to it's going to have to slow and stop the transmission of it. You're pretty much banning any public gatherings of more than 10 people, so that's got to have a strong effect. And what they're gambling on is the economy is going to take a hit, but the hit's going to be as reduced in time as possible, and then the economy will bounce back.
Yeah. Let me just tell you what this internet will do. It gives you up-to-date, first-class information on every country in the world. And it tells you exactly how many cases there are, how many new cases, whether there are any deaths. It's amazing the information. I've got just several sheets of information that all you got to do is go to your computer to get.
Well, you got to put the information in context.
Yeah,
So we've got 22 cases in Alabama, 0 deaths so far. Well, there's 5 million people in Alabama.
That's right.
You got 187,000 cases worldwide. Well, there's 8.2 billion people worldwide.
Bill, think about this, though. This is what I question about this virus. You got China's got 1.2 billion people in it.
Mm-hmm.
They've had no new cases in the last 2 weeks.
That is remarkable.
Down. People they're getting better.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're getting better, and then the warm weather. I don't care what everybody says. The warm weather is going to help.
Here it is. As of this morning, total cases were 80,000 in China. New cases plus 21. That's amazing right there in that big country.
All right, now look
total deaths 3,200.
All right, look at India. There's 1 billion people in India.
Yeah,
look
exactly.
How many cases India has.
I'm looking for it. India. They got them in order.
Italy, we've been talking a lot about. They've had the worst case of any country on a per capita basis. But I've heard that's restricted to...
India's the best.
No, I'm saying Italy, not India. Italy...
Italy is the worst.
And that is restricted to one region of Italy, pretty much. They say it's northern Italy and a couple of provinces in Italy.
Italy is awful.
Italy is 28,000 people already tested negative. South Korea had 8,300 so far this morning, and Spain is getting hit pretty bad too. They got over 11,000 total cases. They had 84 today. Now this right here bothers me a little bit. Germany had 7,600 new total cases, but last night alone they got 364. So that bothers you in 1 day period of time. And this is very accurate information to pass over to you this morning. But like Egypt doesn't have but 4 new cases. And there's Russia. Listen to this. Russia has 0 new cases. They've got a total of 93. They've had 8 total deaths. And they've had 85 of the, listen to this, 85 out of 93 recovered. At least that's what they've got listed here.
The vast, it's like what the mortality rate for 35-year-old is 1 in 500. So, 499 people out of 500 will recover.
One of the reasons is Russia does not let people come in their country.
Yeah, that's right. They just shut them completely down. You're right.
Well, now somebody told me North Korea has had no cases.
Oh, gosh.
And the reason is nobody goes to North Korea.
Yeah, that's right.
So
But
we
you-
could not spread to North Korea, even though South Korea was eat up with it.
France has gotten hit pretty bad. They've had 6,600 cases.
How many does England have?
England has, oh, shoot.
It's gone
Yeah,
up from what I remember pretty rapidly in the last day. Remember, first England was not on the non-travel list, but then they quickly put them on.
You know, I don't see England. Let's see here. I do not see England mentioned here.
Well, it might be under United Kingdom.
Yeah, that's probably right. It's a bunch of them, a lot of countries. You want to look at another one? Hopefully this will be it.
Now, where do you get that from, Mike?
Steve Kemp got it from me this morning. Steve, how do you get this information?
Is it CDC?
Internet worldwide, is that right? Internet worldwide.
Okay.
Let's see if it says on there.
Well, I mean, is it CDC? Is that where it's coming from?
I don't know where is it coming
Well, there'll be
from.
multiple. Just Google corona cases and worldwide.
Yeah, exactly. It's very good and accurate information, and Steve Kemp found it for us this morning. We hope you've enjoyed our show, ladies and gentlemen. We know we've jumped around quite a bit. We appreciate Dr. Eric Law and him coming in and giving us some very important information, and also Miss Miner Amy Miner from the hospital, the chief clinical director there at the Troy Regional Medical Center, and also Mayor Jason Reeves came by representing the city of Troy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to run this show numerous times during this period of time that we're going to be asked to stay in our houses over a period of time, and we hope that this information will be important to you. Dr. Law's phone number is 566-9800, 566-9800 for his patients and to call him if needed. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Rice, I know you had to run off, but it was very good information.
I caught most of it, yeah.
Very good young doctor.
Great information.
And it's information that you might save a life. Let's just say this. It's not just us out there. It's people that could catch this virus, and it's people.
Yes, that's right. So even if you would be probably fine if you got it, you can still send it, get it, spread it to someone who would not be fine. That's
like
fine.
if I see 50 people sitting there eating barbecue on a Saturday afternoon and square dancing, boy, they're in trouble. If somebody's got the disease or the fever, and of course the main thing you look for is high fever and aches and pains,
cough. They say,
and cough and sore throat.
You know, which we also got, like Michael said, we've got the normal allergies from all this pollen coming out, so people are feeling a little rough, and then the regular flu is still circulating too.
And there was one other thing that he mentioned that was very important was not only the fever, but the shortness of breath.
Yeah.
Fever and shortness of breath, I would think, would be two key items.
When I had pneumonia, which I've had 2 times, the shortness of breath was the thing that stood out the most to me. I remember one time I took the trash out to the driveway, and just that little exertion right there. I mean, I was really tired.
You think you might have had the virus, or you gonna get checked?
Well, I was told I had pneumonia. So,
well, they probably didn't know what the other was.
This was before all this happened, so I didn't have coronavirus. But now, because I've had pneumonia a couple times. I'm probably in that higher risk
right.
group. Although I'm younger, I've got these propensity to have lung issues.
Yeah. Hope you, again, have enjoyed this show and you'll utilize it throughout this time period.
We're going to be on
please,
tomorrow?
Yes, we will be on tomorrow, and hopefully we can be of service to you and be able to provide information for you about what's going on in our community and then what precautions you might need to take. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. We come back on again at 1:30 today. But guys up top, we need to keep this film available to show to the public. Thank you very much.